This is episode 12 of David Wheatley's podcast. And you guessed it, this is David Wheatley. It's been a good week. We are recording every week, 2 episodes. So we have a blissful backlog of podcasts that are waiting in the wings for their moment in the international internet sunshine. Numbers 1 through 5 are up. Number 6 will be coming up soon. So I hope you enjoy it and have enjoyed all the others. We'll continue to replay them over and over and over for emphasis and greater depth. We've talked a lot about social psychology, the way individuals function on their own, in couples, in groups, individuals versus groups, and groups versus groups. We talked about dissonance, musical dissonance, and the unrest that can create, which can propel a person or any of the aforementioned groups forward in their desire to reduce that dissonance. One of the ways is to control the environment and anybody in it. We've all had people who try to control us, and we've all endeavored to control others, all in the name of dissonance reduction. So in talking about individuals versus or with individuals, perhaps we have neglected so far individuals by themselves. The example I had given earlier on was the person out in the forest by themselves, living in a cabin or in a tent or in a wigwam. So let's talk a bit more about that, partly because a lot of creatives, especially musicians, including composers and instrumentalists and singers, tend to spend a lot of time by themselves. I'm going to make this more personal and say spend a lot of time by myself. And I'll give a list as I focus in on what is the heart of this matter. Practice rooms at colleges and universities. If they're lucky enough to have 20 or 30 of them, they're almost all occupied by one person, working on technique or repertoire or memorization of existing repertoire. Composers usually work at their residence. We've got the Clompers are here, just for continuity. Pause for a moment so everybody can hear that. All right, good. Featuring the Clompers. Every group gets their moment in the sun. And so most composers and writers work at their place of residence. Sometimes it's a corner of a bedroom or a living room if they have a living room, or as they become more successful and make more cash, perhaps their own studio or a guest house in the back where they can create the solitude that a lot of people need. So why do people need solitude? It's because to go inward is to find much of what is unique about a person and what, getting to the heart of the matter. I think when I said it a few minutes ago, that's what I meant. And so the idea is that as in solitary, and I don't mean solitary confinement in prison, although that idea did occur to me, but solitary where you can come and go as you want, if you want. The more personal ideas get expressed in the dissonance that an individual feels uniquely to them is more apparent in that silence. And so the medium of expression becomes key here. I have a couple of painter friends who spend time preparing the environment so that the paints are ready, the watercolors, charcoal, whatever medium they're using, acrylic or clay, it's ready to go so that there aren't any obstacles or impediments to getting to it. The same applies with the musicians, the pencil and paper group, such as myself, and also the computer people who are using Finale or Sibelius or that other new one. And so by being able to spend solitary time, it's possible to come up with things with art that is unique and focused expression of the dissonance that people feel. And so I'm not sitting here by myself. There are two people with me, and the Clompers are here, and they're louder every week. So some people use the pressures of society to create because it has more of an angst, if not anger to it, that is a special kind of expression that can connect with other people in the world who are feeling angry for their own reasons or similar reasons. And I think there's an idea that people that are completely serene out in the forest, where they can't hear anything, write peaceful music that maybe is not that interesting to people, because most people, I think, are in a state of dissonance, agitation. Many are in a state of anger and frustration. And so that art can better connect with that vast group of people. So the way I usually start is I turn on what used to be a cassette recorder, is now my iPhone voice memo. I sit there for a moment, and then my hands go to the keyboard, which is usually my piano, and see where the notes go, see where my hands go, and see what notes come out. And let that unfold in a stream of something resembling consciousness or unconsciousness. And let that go. And then play it back. And I'm usually quite amazed at what has come out, if not astonished, and maybe a little intimidated. Maybe hard for people to relate to that word. How can it be possible to be intimidated by something that I have made? But when I listen to it, I do say, isn't that amazing that came out of me, for starters? And isn't it amazing that it sounds so good that it just came out, and that it's so free, and that it developed the way that it did? As I'm playing, I partly am aware of the notes that I'm playing, but the rest of the time my hands are just going where they want to go. And at the moment, there are stretches of time where I'm really not thinking about what I'm playing. It's just coming out. So during the playback, I am thinking about what I played. So the perspectives are already different and can be as narrow as a few minutes apart. Play something for 2 or 3 minutes, rewind it instantly in digital, and then play it back, and then experiencing it from that perspective right away. When I was teaching at USC, it came time after all the presentations of intervals and what they mean, the emotional qualities and cultural aspects of intervals. I'd finally sit down at the piano to play something, and I'd play it, and the class would say, "That was amazing." I'm not saying this to brag, but the effect that this has on people. And then they say, "Where did that come from?" And I bailed with that phrase, which is the most interesting thing about creativity is the part that can't be explained. And they didn't exactly groan out loud, but I was groaning on their behalf, even if they weren't. But somehow it just came out. And that's the way it's been ever since. Just appears from somewhere, and I'm hopefully lucky enough to capture it on a voice memo or writing it down on a napkin or back of an envelope enough to be able to recall it. Ansel Adams, the great black and white photographer in the Western States, was asked if he had any regrets about his photography. He says, yes, he only regretted the times he did not have his camera with him. So the same applies with writing music, to be able to write it down and capture it. And with the iPhone, it's fantastic. It can store almost unlimited data with the voice memo. And also this method where you do voice to text. You can dictate, and the words end up right in there. I don't mean to sound like an older guy, like President Bush 1 said, "Look at that, they have scanners in grocery stores." I'm sure he must have known what the scanners were in the grocery stores. Maybe he was just marveling at the technology, but his opponents jumped all over that. See, this guy's silver spoon, he's totally out of touch. But yeah, I love technology. I wish I could have access to more of it and have more time and more people to teach me how to use it. And every day that I learn something new about the tech I have is a day for rejoicing. All right, that all said, I'm going to pause there and give some thought to what the next episode is going to be. And the most interesting thing about creating podcasts is the part that can't be explained. So therefore, please look in the description and become a patron of the arts and support this channel. If you feel so inclined, we would appreciate it. And emails are welcome. davidwheatley10@gmail.com. And I look forward to speaking to you via the next episode. Thanks for listening.